You're listening to Halftime with Phil Olsen, Matty T, and Drew Barrett. Want to jump in the conversation with the guys? Call or text into Halftime at 877-377-6963.
A great event tomorrow night, Harrison, Arkansas, in the Fairgrounds Indoor Building. It's Mid-States Wrestling. Doors open 6 o'clock. Bell time is 7 o'clock. Wrestlers such as Niles Plunk, the Space Cowboy Jason Jones, the villain Tim Rockwell will be in attendance, and the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, the one and only legendary WWE Hall of Famer, is going to be in attendance as well, and he joins us right now on Halftime. Jimmy Hart, it is just a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Well, thank you, guys. What a pleasant surprise hearing that record that we had out back in 1965, a million-seller called Keep On Dancing with the Gentries. So thank you for surprising me with that.
I'm sure you go on other radio shows. Don't they know that you were also a star recording artist? I didn't know that, and I grew up watching you on television, and I saw you in person at many events in the WWF in the 1980s. But I've known that song for maybe my whole life. I did not know that you were one of the lead vocalists of the Gentries. How do you get from a lead vocalist for a band that made a top 5 song to becoming one of the all-time great managers in wrestling history?
Well, you know what happened? Jerry Lawler and I went to school together at Treadwell High School in Memphis, Tennessee. Jerry went into wrestling, and I went into music. And all of a sudden, after about 7 years on the road with Dick Clark, touring with the Beach Boys and Sonny and Cher and Chuck Berry and all those groups, I came back in town one day, and he said, look, I want to cut a wrestling album. Will you help me? I said, I'd love to. And the next thing you know, I'm managing Jerry the King Lawler in Memphis, Tennessee. And before you know it, the King goes out and breaks his leg playing touch football, of all things. And Jerry Jarrett, the promoter, came to me and said, Jimmy Hart, we're going to put a rocket on you and let you carry this territory till the King comes back. And, boy, he did. And that gave me my shot after 6 years of that, going to New York City to work for the WWE. So I've been blessed. Never had a plan for anything, but it all worked out.
Well, I mean, you're a great showman, and I think that has to work in both music and in professional wrestling, And there's got to be for you, even now, you still have that thrill of the crowd. You don't know what that feels like until you're up on a stage and you are affecting the crowd in a certain way to where they pay you back with emotions coming back at you on stage, or whether it's the squared circle or up playing an instrument. Do you still feel that excitement when you get in front of a crowd?
Well, I do. I was just telling my good friend Jason Jones, who I'm going to be managing tomorrow night for Mid-States Wrestling. I just told him today, I said, you know what, I treat everything like a WrestleMania. No matter what city I'm in, where I'm going to be, or anything else, like at Harrison, Arkansas tomorrow night, the Fairgrounds Indoor Building, by the way, like you said. To me, whether we have 5,000 people there, 500 people there, 2,000, but whatever we have there, to me, when you go through that curtain to go to that ring, I treat everything that it's the biggest show in the world, which will be for Harrison. It'll be a great show for us. 6 or 7 big matches, a lot of young incoming superstars are there, and the fans that have grew up watching us all their life, that's what they expect. They expect to get their money's worth.
So I want to ask about the difference in the feeling of the reaction from the crowd when you are a good guy compared to when you're a heel. And you managed both of them. You managed plenty of heroes. You managed a lot of heels. In fact, that's how I grew up. Remember, the first time I watched you manage was with the Hart Foundation, with Jim Neidhart and Bret the Hitman Hart. What's the difference in feeling between being good and being bad?
Yeah, I had the Hart Foundation, who people hated at first, but then they loved Bret Hart. So finally we changed over, and then, of course, I had the Honky Tonk Man, who greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, who the people booed a little bit here and there. And then, of course, I jumped to Hulk Hogan, who the people loved. So, I'm kind of every day I put a different jacket on and fit whatever character I'm going to be out with. But the fans, the fans have always been very appreciative of everything we've done. And I've been so blessed to be with the talent that I've been able to be with through the years, no matter what the people thought of them. So, and I've been able to survive all these years. So whatever we're doing, I'm keeping on doing it. Like tomorrow night, I'll have one of my I'll have my white Jimmy Hart jacket with a heart on it. I'll carry the megaphone, of course. And like I said before, it's just giving the people their money's worth.
Well, on the poster, you're wearing your black jacket with the red hearts. Do you wear the black jacket when you're the heel?
No, not really. That's a good point, though. I never thought about that. No, I just I like to change up sometimes, and I thought this going up here to be in Harrison tomorrow night, I thought it'd be good to wear the white jacket with the hearts on them, and then I always have the megaphone. So, like I said before, it's just going to be a great time tomorrow night. Tickets start as low as $15, and general admission is, and then we've got. I'll be doing autographs from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. Oh my God, I better get up early. I feel like an elephant sitting on my tongue. We're doing this radio in a driving rainstorm, so Jason's out over the road. I'm going, oh my God. But no, tomorrow night is going to be great, though. I hope we should get a chance to come out and be our special referee. But like I said, it's going to be great.
Well, and there's a meet and greet at 6 o'clock for VIP ticket holders for just $20. And
right, 6
sounds
o'clock.
Like it could be worth it for a chance to meet with you and the other wrestlers too. Yeah, so you're a member of the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005. Hulk Hogan, Cowboy Bob Orton, Nikolai Volkov, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. Rowdy Roddy Piper was always one of my favorites, and the Iron Sheik. I know there's a few of those guys that you managed as well. What was it like to be inducted into that Hall of Fame with such a headline class?
Well, it was a great thrill for me to be inducted, and I remember when Jim Ross called me, he goes, Jimmy Hart, we're going to put you in the Hall of Fame. I said, Jim, are you sure you're not trying to call Bret Hart? He goes, no, it's you. And he laughed. And but it was a thrill because, one of the stories that I told on it, and I remember that my son had just been shipped overseas. He was in the 101st at the time, and that's when President Bush at the time dropped the hammer on Saddam Hussein. And so we hadn't heard from him in a month, and there was all kind of fighting going on over there. And I remember that every day when I was doing the wrestling up there, Triple H would ask how your son was, or Shane McMahon, or Vince McMahon, or Linda McMahon, or Stephanie. They'd always ask me every day, how's your son? How's your son? And they cared so much about that, which made me really feel good, too. And we didn't know what the heck was happening over there with him or nothing, but thank God he made it back home safe. And like I said, it was just a very dramatic time for me being inducted in the Hall of Fame and going through that too. But it's something I'll never forget.
Wow, that's really a great story. And you can hear in your voice there, you still refer to it as wrestling, which is a Southern way of saying the word wrestling, man. I mean, when did you get the moniker Mouth of the South? When did that come to you, and how did you? I'm assuming you grabbed that pretty quickly and said, "This is mine."
Well, what really happened, we were doing TV in Memphis, Tennessee one day, and I was managing Andy Kaufman. And upstairs, there was a guy named Ron Olson who was on a radio show called FM 100. And so we went upstairs to do a radio interview that was going to be dubbed for some other areas that we were going to go in. And every time they asked Andy a question, I jumped in ahead of him. And then Andy got a little mad about it. And he goes, will you let me talk? And then Ron Olson jumped in and said, Andy, you're going to realize that you're down here in Memphis, Tennessee, the South. We call Jimmy Hart the Mouth of the South. And so I realized, I thought, ooh, that's good. So I started using it way back then, years ago, when I first jumped into the business back in 1979.
Is the Andy Kaufman, I was going to call it the Andy Kaufman thing, but I mean his wrestling career and everything that was circled around that, in which you were such a huge part of. And professional wrestling is a bizarre industry, but I would venture a guess that was that the most bizarre part of your career, being embroiled in the Andy Kaufman, Jerry Lawler thing? Was there anything else that could equal that?
Well, being part of the Andy Kaufman era with Lawler, which was great, unbelievable. But I look back on some of the people I've been lucky enough to manage back in the day. Jesse the Body Ventura, which later on became was he the governor of Minneapolis? Mm-hmm. So how many people can say they managed a former governor of Minneapolis? Being on the stage with Kiss and everything at WCW, being with Alice Cooper at WrestleMania, because I came from a music background. Being with Alice Cooper at WrestleMania 3 and having thrown the big snake on me. So, like I said, but you know what was so before wrestling? I got to meet Elvis Presley twice. A good friend of mine named George Klein was one of Elvis's best friends, went to high school with him. Well, he's the one that kind of discovered the Gentries back in the day. So I got to go to Elvis's house and meet Elvis a couple of times and everything else, too. So, I've just had a blessed career. I've been very, very lucky. And when Jason, these guys called me to come up here to be part of Mid-States Wrestling tomorrow night at the fairgrounds, indoor building, like you said, and I did, too. It's raining, so it's definitely indoors. But it's it was a thrill for me to come back into, because part of Missouri and Arkansas and Tennessee, of course, all these places were part of where I grew up and the places that we used to wrestle in back in the day. And so to be part of this show they're having tomorrow night is just going to be great.
Couple more minutes here with Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. We so appreciate his time. He's going to be at the Fairgrounds Indoor Building in Harrison tomorrow for Mid-States Wrestling. You can get tickets by going to mswtickets.com. And really, $15 general admissions, $20 for VIP, and get a meet and greet with the VIPs. I got to ask more about Andy Kaufman. How did you get involved with him? How did that come about?
Well, what happened with the Andy Kaufman, I was at Jerry Lawler's house one night, and we had a phone call from New York City, and it was one of the gentlemen that does the magazine up there, and he had called and said, look, WWF was going to, WWF back in the day, after, he called and said, look, I presented a thing to WWF about using Andy Kaufman. They didn't want to use him. Jerry, would you be using him down there? And, of course, he was on taxi at the time. We jumped at it. And he'd been wrestling the women, like the intergender champion. So we had a chance to bring him in. So we brought him in. It was just a gold mine for us. That led to Lawler doing the David Letterman show and the Slap Heard Around the World. But he was red hot at the time, and so they put him with me, and it was just tremendous. It was just a great thrill and a great money draw for our whole Memphis area at the time.
Yeah, it kind of also might have introduced you to a national audience in a little bit of a way. You managed so many great wrestlers. Was there a wrestler that you would have liked to have a chance to manage that you didn't?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've been blessed with so many of them. I don't want to be greedy of trying to manage anybody I wasn't able to manage, because if you look back at what we talked about, I had a Hulk Hogan, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Jerry the King Lawler, Andy Kaufman, really, back in Memphis, Greg Valentine, King Kong Bundy, the Iron Sheik, the original Iron Sheik, along with the Iron Sheik we had from WWE too, and Handsome Jimmy Valiant, and then of course more in New York, the Honky Tonk Man, Kevin Sullivan, the Dream Machine, Coco Beware, oh my gosh, it's just been so many with a mixture of all the people that I've had back in the day, Terry and Dory Funk, and so I've been blessed, and so for me to say, I wish I could have managed this person. I don't want to be greedy, but I've been, and to be some of the greatest managers in the world: Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Cornette, Paul Heyman. Fred Blassie, Lou Albano, Mr. Footy. Just all of them are just so great. So I've learned from so many different people, and like I said, I pinch myself every day and look in the mirror and go, "Did I really get paid for doing this my whole life?" And like I said before, I still get excited when I get the phone call to do some of these shows like I'm doing on the weekend now with Mid-States Wrestling. It's going to be at the Fairground. I know we've said it a million times, but let people know at the Fairground Indoor Building in Harrison, Arkansas tomorrow night. The doors open at 6 p.m. Come get an autograph from the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Bell time 7 p.m. 6 or 7 big matches. You're going to see some up-and-coming young superstars that people might not get a chance to see before they go to the big time. So it's going to be great.
All right, last thing, and we'll let you go. And you're kind of me. I got to pinch myself, interviewing somebody like you that honestly is one of the true legends of this sport. So I am pinching myself doing this, but I do have to put you on the spot with this last question. Being a native of Jackson, Mississippi, this is usually a college sports. This is a college sports program. We talk a lot of college sports, so I'll put you on the spot. Are you an Ole Miss fan or a Mississippi State fan, or could you not care less?
Well, let me tell you the truth. I was born in Jackson, Mississippi, Hines County, been a relative Memphis most of my life. But I was going to a Memphis State ball game when I was in high school, and we played Ole Miss. And I saw this quarterback, Archie Manning. And I swear this guy, if he wanted to throw a touchdown, he threw one. If he wanted to run one, he threw one. He was like heads above everybody else. I'd never seen anything like it. And I became an Archie Manning fan back in the day. But I still love Memphis State, of course. But I thought Ole Miss at the time was just unbelievable back in the day. So, but through the years, all the teams have been so good. And of course, now living in Tampa, I'm a big Bucs fan. I'm so glad.
I think we might have lost him right there.
Too.
Oh, there we go.
But listen, you've done a great interview today. I know this was your last interview, last thing you were going to ask me, but I just want to tell you, you've really done your homework, and you're awesome. So I just want to to let the people know that. You're awesome.
Thank you very much. I feel the same way about you, and I felt like that for the last 35 years, so this has been a real thrill. Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, thank you so much for your time. Have a great event tomorrow in Harrison.
You know what? In case I would like to have you referee tomorrow night, but look up MSWtickets.com if people want to come to it. But just once again, MSWtickets.com. But if you come down there, we'll make you a special referee. Hey, we love you, baby. And remember one thing, keep on dancing.
We will keep on dancing, and I wish I would have had that invite like a week ago. Oh, gosh, that would be a lot of fun. What was the name of the wrestler, the wrestling referee that turned heel? And I think he was managed by Jimmy Hart. Danny something or other. I remember when he turned heel, too. You're like, wait a minute,
we can make you the next Danny Davis.
Danny Davis, that's who it was. Thanks again, Jimmy Hart. Appreciate you so much.
We love you, baby.
All right.
Thank you.
Online has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.